We're going to cover the 5 scientific components of a high converting chiropractic report of findings. Let's do it. I'm Dr. Dan. I am the chiropractic advocate. I get fired up about helping chiropractors explain the benefits of chiropractic to the public while they're growing their income and their influence. So I'm a neuroscience guy. I love the brain. I love to study the brain. I love to read books about the brain. Ultimately, if you have something to offer the world, you have to find a way to communicate it effectively. Dr. Gregory Burns, he was a neuroscience professor out of Emory University, said, you could have the greatest idea in the world, completely new, completely novel, and completely different, but if you can't convince enough people, it doesn't matter. And I don't know another profession where this becomes so real and relevant. So I'm gonna assume here you're a chiropractor. That means that you have a vested interest in helping people without drugs and surgery. That is a big deal. When you look left, when you look right, you are so very needed in a society and a culture such as this. We make up 4.25% of the population in the United States, but we take 75% of the flippin' pharmaceutical drugs. Get this, if that statistic doesn't describe the opportunity that you have in your community, I don't know what does. So, I know I'm preaching to the choir. I have 3 daughters. I love the game of golf. I'm a former athlete. I like to consider myself an athlete still. I learned a competitive drive. I have 2 brothers who are medical doctors. My mom's a nurse. My sister is an occupational therapist. I grew up in the medical model, so I have no background early on in chiropractic. So, first 16 years of my life, I'd never been to one, didn't even know what it was. So I come to the game probably a lot like you in realizing this truth. Listen, if I would have got into this and thought that I'm gonna have to sell, I wouldn't have even entered. I took 2 English classes so that I could avoid taking a speech class. I was that fearful to speak in front of people. I am a self-proclaimed introvert. I get my energy from being alone. I have all the odds stacked against me. So hit me up in the comments if that's you, if I'm describing you, that you're shy, that you're more introverted, that you hate selling. I'm with you. So for me, when I think about a report of findings, the reason why I'm gonna give you the 5 cornerstones and essentials for every high converting report of findings is not because I knew them growing up or starting as a chiropractor, it's that I learned the hard way. And as I study these books and I study the brain and how it makes decisions, it has helped me create these 5 components that I teach to my clients and all over the world for that matter on how to take something that's so valuable that people need and convince them, and rather, I don't like the word convincing, persuade them to want to not only participate, to commit, to pay, and tell others. There's a few books that I would want to remind you of where I get a lot of this data that allows me to put it in our industry, in our profession, and take it to the people who need it. It has allowed me to build multiple 7-figure practices and now even online businesses, teaching and training people on how to communicate effectively so that people follow you. And so one of the books, Influence, Robert Cialdini, that's a big one. Thinking Fast and Slow. This is one most people don't know about. I don't highly recommend it unless you really want to dive into some pretty deep stuff. This has become known as the Bible of psychology and human decision making. Very, very good book. Predictably Irrational by Daniel Ariely. This is to show that the human is irrational, but is predictable. When you apply these principles in your report of findings, again, you can consistently get results and get people to pay you cash and commit and tell others without being a charismatic guru. And then last one, most don't know about this. I train with these guys, Christophe Moore and Patrick Renvoise, as they say it in France, Renvoise, The Persuasion Code. This is a good book, great guys. I break this down, I wanna break this down for these 5 components of a report of findings that is high converting. That means it's a high dollar report of findings. We're not asking somebody for $20 or $300 or $500. We're asking them for $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, $3,500, $15,000. I have one client that charges $15,000 for his care plan, and he's able to get people to pay cash outside of insurance. So my question for you is, do you have a mechanism that converts people, what I call a conversion mechanism that you feel confident about, that you can reproducibly convert somebody, even if they came in, they want to use their insurance, they want one visit, and they want it all to be free? Do you have a process? So let's break this down. There's 5 key components to a report of findings that is high converting. The first one is motive. The second one is positioning. The third one is the comparison principle. The fourth one is the cost of saying no. And the fifth one is the mapping sequence. Now, let me break each one of these down for you. These are based on brain triggers, how the brain is wired to make decisions. This may be the first time you've heard this, and that's okay. You're a chiropractor, you're a brain-based doctor, right? Remember that the most intimate relationship that the spine has is with the brain. That's why your adjustments are so effective. I think about this, and actually, you know what? I wanna remind you this as well. If I would have known the sales and communication requirement it took to be a chiropractor, again, I said, I don't know that I would sign up for it. But here we are. It is not like selling other things. Here's what happened for me. I realized we have a big truth. I didn't know about this truth. Then I did. I got to get more people who are just like me who don't know it. And when you come from that space, it helps you because you recognize where they're at. People buy because they feel understood, not because they understand everything. I get it. We want to get them the big idea, but that's not why they buy. They buy because they feel you understand them. So these 5 components walk somebody through based on how their brain is wired to make decisions. People will be resistant to your message. That's not new. I just want what my insurance company covers. I just want you to crack my back once and I'm out, and I'm just assuming it's gonna get rid of my pain. While we sit here like, oh, if you only knew the benefits of chiropractic, it goes so much beyond the spine. We want to make sure they get it so that they can actually compare us to the right things. Remember, people come into your practice, they think hospital, big problem, chiropractor, small problem. The first essential is you gotta create a motive. If they walk in, typically they think your motive is you're gonna tell them a long-term care plan for your benefit, for your bank account, and for your fame and success. If you don't create the real motive, they will make one up. I had a client that came on and said, people don't wanna hear about me. And I said, Dr. Dan, you don't realize is they're already making up a story about you. So you either tell them the real one, which creates the motive of why you do what you do, or you allow them to make one up, and it ain't gonna be one that you like. Critical element number 2, you must position yourself and your offer unique and objective. That is where visuals are necessary. Remember, the brain is wired to respond to visuals unlike anything else. In fact, visuals distort every other sense the body or the brain encounters. This is why you must have objective findings. Findings or testing that you show them that are objective. They're not based on their subjective symptoms, they're based on your objective testing. That's positioning. Third thing, and my favorite, is the comparison principle. You have to recognize that people coming in to see you, wanting to get a problem solved by the chiropractor, are going to lump you in the category of a $30 bottle of Advil that they can get a 6-month supply from Costco from, or the yoga class, or the massage. See, that's the comparison principle. That means that the value they have is the cost of those things. You have to flip the script on that. There's a very specific and concise way to do this if you know how to do it right. And when you get to the price for your care, they won't be sticker shocked. Fourth thing is the cost. Now you may think, yeah, I show them the cost. I'm not talking about the cost of saying yes. In your report of findings, you must be able to articulate the cost of them saying no. The stakes are real, the risks are real, the cost is real of saying yes and saying no. If you nail this, I'm telling you, this is why you get people to pay cash willingly and are happy about it. And the fifth essential in a high converting chiropractic report of findings is what I call the path. You have to map out a very specific path for them so they can see it with their brain. They can literally wrap their head around what it's gonna take to actually not only get their problem solved, but get the problem solved, the objective problem. Research was done that showed a 31% increase in adoption and follow through when this one factor was very clear, and that is the mapping out of the plan. This is so critical for every report of findings you do. There you have it, guys. That is in a nutshell. If you need help with this, you're saying, man, that makes sense to me. I need to do that. How do you do that? I teach clients how to do this all day, every day, repeated over and over and over again, so they can consistently get results, drive revenue, and get out of the cash game. It's embarrassingly low, the reimbursements that are coming in that chiropractors accept. It's time to take control of that. And so if you want to create a conversion mechanism that can take anybody off the street and get them paying cash, no hard closing, no confrontation, no silly scripts. If you want help, this is what we do. More from me. I get excited about helping you take this message to the masses because you deserve it, they deserve it, and the time is now. It's a great time to be a chiropractor. That's it for me. Hit me up in the comments. Dr. Dan, I'm out.